Hello, hello. I'm late. I'm very late, actually. Wow. That's okay. Hi, late. Hi, Dad. I see you come back from getting cigarettes from the corner store. Where have you been for the past 20-something years? Hello, Jordan. Hello, hello. Bring me back. Oh, there I am. I have been sleeping all day. I was considering just like continuing to sleep and canceling the stream, but I figured that probably would be not a good idea. So here we are. I don't know why I feel so tired, but I am like extraordinarily tired today. Suppose I was on kind of a bender yesterday, so that might explain it. Well, it wasn't like a bender, as in like I wasn't like, you know, shooting up drugs and drinking. It was mostly just drinking. But the normal amount of it. Only give me 1 second. There we go. Boom. Here we are. So, it's gonna be more UI stuff today. But yesterday I got most of it done. So here we are. Check that out. It's all just configured via XML. So now the big task now is to put together like an actual demo instead of just like all these like testing functions. So let's figure it out. And then the ultimate goal is to get back to not this UI. I'm not a huge fan of this UI. Probably what I'm going to do is just take the theme from Godot, since a lot of like big profile projects actually do that as well. They just take Godot's theme. Drink responsibly? No. You're not my real dad. Let's see. So let's see. This is everything.xml. Fair enough. Let's go into examples. And let's see what we can do here. So let's just make Pong. So this is kind of evolved from being a UI focused library into just like an alternative way of writing or like creating scenes in Godot. It's kind of weird. I'm kind of into it though. So, because now, or the way that this works, right, is that you're just able to insert whatever you want into here, right? Because it piggybacks off of Godot's built-in scene tree structure. Yeah, so everything here is just placed as it would be in the scene tree. Let's see if I can make Pong. Making Pong in Godot, easy. Making Pong in Godot without using the scene tree, also easy. Making Pong in Godot, but using my weird UI library, that's gonna be a little more difficult. Well, let me see. Now, I'm pretty sure if I just do this, we can set this as the main run configuration. That's not too hard. Pong. Oh, this isn't saved yet. Hold on. I'm dumb. Let's just Pong GD. Give me just a node. We'll just call it Pong. Save it. Boom, boom. Please. Add a script. Hello, Sakai. I made a website this week. Would you like to give me some feedback on it? Yeah, sure, why not? I'm not the greatest person to probably give feedback on websites. Since I mostly do backend, but you know, if you want to drop a link or something, sure. I suppose if you want to see the extent of my own web design skills, this is pretty much it. Look at that. Followed a tutorial on 3JS, and then it's just basic navigation bar, etc. So not super duper fancy. It does also mean that I'm also the only impressive part is that I'm not serving any JavaScript myself, basically, or I'm not serving any JavaScript libraries myself. Everything is just pulled from CDNs, and then I just kind of hope it's there. What is Maildax? About the requests. What is Maildax? Not super familiar with product hunts. How do I get to your websites? Is it get it? That would probably make sense. Oh, okay, cool. Your mailbox is empty. Using unknown. Okay. You can start when new email arrives, will immediately refresh your whatever. API is not public, probably a good idea. So this is just like an anonymous mailbox. I'm looking for like an about page because I don't really understand what it's supposed to be. Secure and anonymous temporary emails. Okay, cool. So it's like a more fancy other anonymous email servers, because I know there's a few anonymous email servers. Okay, cool. I don't know what UN stands for, but I'm assuming this is just my, oh, maybe not. Now I'm using this one. I don't know what UN was standing for. Probably like uninitialized, right? It's more secure, I think so. Well, it is via HTTPS, I suppose. Yeah, that's cool. And then you can change it, I suppose. Create a fresh one. Get your previous. Have your previous. Okay. Okay, so it's like hashed as well. So you kind of like GPG keyed secured. Cool. That's neat, I guess. I don't really want to create a new. Don't want to really create a new email, but I don't know. It's an anonymous email server service. Seems cool. I don't really have a need for it. I just I already have a burner email, but yeah. Sorry I couldn't be more specific. It looks pretty good, I guess. Okay. Oh, Twitter card. So you're using Bootstrap. Okay. Probably. Maybe I'm wrong. See, this is more what I'm I guess into. Just scanning through your sources and just looking at stuff. Okay. Some sort of polyfill webpack. Probably is a Node.js application. We refer to you. Chunks. We don't care about chunks. Where are your sources? Or are these just your JavaScript sources? Underscore next. Next.js. Okay. Okay. You can look at all of this stuff. I guess looking at style is kind of botched since I'm already using dark reader, so it's hard to tell. Okay. Yeah. In terms of criticisms, I don't know. I don't really have too many. Probably a dark mode. So if I was using this in a anonymous browser, but that's just me. I like dark mode everywhere. Do not change to light mode. No. Look at that. Just look at your retinas burn out of your skull. Yeah, number 3 product of the day today. Congratulations. I don't have a product hunt thingy. I probably should, considering I build my own stuff. Yeah. What does save do? Yeah, there's your secret. There's my secret. Probably don't want to use this again. But yeah, I think the idea makes sense, is that you can get it back. It's not just a complete burner. Yeah. Fried retinas. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really know too much about web design. You know, I write, like, professionally, I write, like, back-end services for integrations or infrastructure automation, and I wrote this thing. So, yeah. Seems cool. Seems cool. Congratulations on number 3 on Product Hunt. Some more spices. Alright. So, boom, boom, boom. I think most of this we don't actually need. So, go into Pong. Everything. I guess this doesn't actually need to be everything. This just needs to be this. We'll just drop into this folder and then generate from an XML file that I will put together here. And by any chance you know what an automation engineer role does? Yeah, I mean, that's what I do, essentially. Not really. It's close enough. So an automation engineer does what it says. As in, an automation engineer automates things. Oh, hello, Nova. So if you're doing like I do infrastructure automation, that would fall under automation engineer, I suppose. You need to get more context as to like what kind of automation you're looking at. So, I mean, there's like developer tooling automation, which is more like DevOps or just developer UX. You have infrastructure automation, which is like more like cluster management or container management. So if you're doing Kubernetes, or maybe you're working with Ansible, Puppet, Chef, Terraform. So you're spinning up virtual clusters. Maybe you're provisioning like actual machines. It's hard to say, right? I'm thinking what other types of automation engineers are there? Got a job offer for that role. In the interview, they did not explain what I have to do. That sounds rough. Did you not ask like what specifically they would be expecting you to do, or what? And hold on. Well, by the way, no. What I'm trying to do is I'm remaking Pong. So making Pong using the scene tree, that's easy. Making Pong without using the scene tree, also fairly easy. So what I'm trying to do is make Pong, but going through my weird XML file structure. So this is we're basically 2 steps removed from the scene tree at this point. So I'm thinking about how to do it. So I can try to just write it all in line, I suppose. But yeah, automation engineer, there's a ton of things that you can do, so hard to say. Like, I would technically be falling under automation engineer, I suppose. So most frequently you would be doing either DevOps, which is kind of automation engineering. So you're doing CI/CD pipelines using Jenkins. Used to be the hot stuff. Now it's like GitLab CI, whatever. We're in the dev team to automate their workflow and so on and so forth. Okay, so you're doing developer UX. Pong with XML color me intrigued. Yeah, well, basically it comes back to this. So the fact that I'm able to do this stuff, this is all configured via XML, so all of these are automatically generated. So this GDML node is, and everything under it is automatically generated. We have all these nodes, and they're placed correctly, and they're tail call optimized. Oh baby! So we can support up to 1,000. No, not 1,000. 1 million. Basically 1 million XML nodes in a single file will be successfully parsed, because it is 2 million is the max stack size, because I'm using an array instead of a stack. But then because every single XML node must have an open and close node, we just divide it by 2. So if you have 1 million, I suppose it'd be 2 million, but you could just have only open XML nodes. And I will just implicitly insert the closing tag for you. So 1 million, potentially 2 million. Well, no, it's only 1 million tags. Yeah, because the max stack size is 2 million. Let's see. This is technically possible. I don't know why you would want to do it. So. Is this how we work with the dev team now? Make the workflow. All right, read that. Sounds more like a developer. I also read that. I have completely lost track of what I was doing. But yeah, developer experience, it kind of sounds like you're doing DevOps instead of like automation engineer. Well, I guess DevOps is kind of automation engineer. Automation engineer is the super generic term for when they don't know what they want. Let's see. Let me move back to Pong. So we're gonna add a sprite really quickly, just so I can know what I'm working with. So position, that's probably something that I want to change. Style could probably be subbed out for like properties, almost. You know what? I'm gonna do that. Let's sub out. Let's make these interchangeable. So script style source properties props. That's kind of a React style name for that. At least what I remember, from what I remember of React. It's been a little bit though. So this is handle attributes, source, whatever, style. We'll handle properties like an inline style. And I was actually thinking it might be a good idea to even do like the Angular thing. So I know like Angular, if you're doing that, you need to prepend all your properties with ng, Angular. So maybe this would have to be like a GD style or GD props, whatever. Let's see, position is, oh man, that's tough actually. Position, because then how would I parse a vector2? That's something I did not consider until just now. So any of these, we're looking for anchor, margin, those are the easy ones. Set indexed, key value. Oh, you could totally do this. Yeah, because I can't pass in a vector2 because I don't have the ability to parse it. But that's kind of tough. Let me see, because I need to be able to. I don't have a syntax for vector2s. I don't have a syntax for vector2s. And there's no way to just parse a vector2 from a string without doing it manually. So let me think. Give me 1 second. I'm just totally out of it for whatever reason today. Didn't even have my stream monitor up. So set indexed means assigns a new value to the property identified by the node path. Can use a colon character to access nested properties. So I thought I would only be using this for, well, for now, let's not include this at all, right? We can always just do this inline, which is kind of bizarre. So this will totally work. Let's do, so these will all be spawned in at 0, 0. So that's okay. Vector2, -100, 0. This feels kind of wrong to do it like this, but so let's call this left paddle. And we'll just copy it over. So left paddle, right paddle. I'm interested to see if this will work. If it does work, I wouldn't be surprised though. Let's see. We'll just do everything in the physics process. Let's see. What is it called in Godot? If input is, it's like one of the input singleton ones, because I need to check for a specific key, not an action. Mostly because I don't really feel like setting up actions in this project. Although I could just use UI right, UI left. All right, let's just use that. So if input is action pressed UI, or UI up and UI down, right? So this is UI down. Okay. So we have a sprite, and then we should also, oh, these should be kinematic body 2Ds, and I don't really have a resource to load in on top of that, but we can do that completely via script anyways. Yeah, let's just try to do that completely via script. And then for the next thing that was on my plate for this was remaking the kind of generic Godot demo, which is dodge the creeps. That's in the Godot docs, which is actually pretty good. It goes through everything that you would really want for a 3D, or not a 3D game, a 2D game. So random spawning, animations, player control, etc., etc. Win state, lose states. Let's see. So this needs to be a kinematic body 2D. Is this how it's spelled in the editor? Kinematic body 2D. Yeah, that is how it's spelled, more or less. That should resolve correctly, probably. Hard to say. We'll figure it out, basically. So position, whatever, kinematic body 2D. So this requires, hold on, what does this require? This requires a collision shape with an actual collision shape. So a collision shape node with an actual shape assigned to it. So we're looking for some sort of rectangle. All right, let's figure this out because we're doing this entirely via code. Code inside more code, which is weird. So that's a collision shape equals collision. How do you spell collision? Collision shape 2D. New. We'll create a new shape on it as well. Collision shape 2D. So this is a shape 2D. Yeah. shape 2D, and then we'll just create a new rectangle shape 2D. So equals rectangle shape 2D. And then extents of, I don't know, like 1030. So our extents, give me the extents. Vector 2, yes. Vector 2, 1030. All right, and then we'll grab this, set this as the sprite, and then we'll need to stretch it maybe, or maybe not. What if we don't change these extents at all, and then we just, yeah, we don't change these extents at all? That should be fine. We'll need to load this into a texture. So this is a sprite. This requires an image texture, I think. Or actually, this is probably fine, right? So this is sprite is equal to load, whatever. This is not how you would want to load this in, actually, because that's not portable. But for now, we'll do it like this. Let's to do make this portable. So I need a portable way of loading in resources that may or may not be dropped into the same context. But for now, that's fine. So we load in this thingy. I believe this gives me an image resource, and then image texture is equal to image texture new, image texture. I think we can set the texture on an image texture, image texture, image new. I don't need to do that, although you could create from image blah blah. And then this one is just texture is equal to image texture. Yeah, something like that. Send it. We're on the wrong thing still. Why are... Oh, okay, I see. Pong text scene. So all this script does... And let's remove these so we know for sure that we are loading everything in. Ren's power went out. That's tough. RIP stream. Generate. Hope his power comes back on. Happens to the best of us. Sometimes my internet goes out, but luckily it's never gone out during my stream. It just goes out during like my normal workday, completely interrupting, you know, conference calls I may or may not be having. That's okay. All right, so 9 errors. That's good. Unable to handle elements, unknown tag, or scene kinematic body 2D. So that it wasn't able to generate a thing for that. Okay. Okay. I see. So unable to handle elements for whatever. Where is it? Unknown tag or scene. All right. Let me see what it gives me. So it stops here. Probably. Oh, I see. So it decapitalized any capital letters. Interesting. That's weird. Why does it do that? So capitalize changes the case of some letters, replaces underscores with spaces, adds spaces before in word. uppercase characters, converts all letters to lowercase, then capitalizes the first letter in every letter following a space character. That's tough. That's tough. So how would you do this then? Like an easy way of fixing this would be to do this, which is like super duper gross. But it kind of tricks Godot's built-in. Yeah, it tricks the logic into correctly keeping the 2D, the D in 2D capitalized. All right. Where's the error? Oh, inherits from sprites. Oh, okay. Yeah. Kinematic body 2D. All right, let's just keep it like that. Oh baby. Okay, so we don't have anything displaying, and there's also nothing added. Wait a minute. Oh yeah. I know why nothing was added. Yeah. So this gives me a thingy. So add child, the results of whatever this is. Yeah. Okay. Still kind of wrong. For sure. I don't know where these are. Oh, is it because there's no camera? Okay. Let's just add a camera inline. So camera to D. That's kind of gross in how I have to separate out the 2D or the D in 2D. We'll think about it though. Yeah, I didn't realize that this would be a problem. But as it turns out, it was. All right, so in the generator, how am I handling? It's not the generator, it's the style handler. How do I handle booleans? All right, let's handle booleans like an actual boolean. So bool or boolean. So node set index key value. There we go. Should work, which means that we just generate an inline camera here, casted properly. Maybe not. Current. Unable to set it, maybe? Or maybe it just was not handled at all? Yeah, it doesn't look like it was handled at all. So mi props, was props not set here? Or did I just forget to set it for whatever reason? Would not be the first time. Okay. Handle attributes. Resource file not found res, that's fine. But this one, this is bizarre. Constants. Constants props. Style. Style. Interesting. So handle inline style is just not being called at all. So handle attributes. Let's take a look. So the first one should be GDML. We don't care about GDML. This one should be camera to D. That's fine. One attribute style, current, boolean, true. So for key in all of this, then we have our key style, and then the value is current, boolean, true. Oh, okay, I see. Why wasn't it pushing a warning for me then? Or has it been pushing a warning and I'm just dumb? Yes, it has been pushing a warning, and I am just dumb. Okay. Set index key boolean value. Non-existent function set indexed in base nil. Okay. So we have everything except for the actual node. So we weren't able to create the camera 2D, I suppose. But there is a camera 2D here. That seems bizarre. Change this back to props just because it makes me feel better about myself. Well, let's see. Gotta think. So why does this throw an error? So if we just keep going up, were we not able to create an object? We were able to create an object. And then handle attributes, we step into here. We still have our object. Then here, we lose our object because node is currently null for some reason. Let me see. Object, yes. Step into it. Still have... Oh. Okay. I see. That's garbage. I hate that. Okay. So because Godot kind of has static typing, but not really. So it only has static typing for its input parameters, but not for its return parameter or return values. I hate that. Okay. So because it wasn't the correct type, it just dropped the node entirely. Interesting. Maybe. Possibly. At least we didn't run into an error, but there's still nothing being displayed on screen. Oh, it's because there's no sprite. So here... This isn't a sprite. This is a texture. This isn't a sprite. This is the icon. So icon var sprite is equal to sprite new. Thought it did have types for return values. I can't remember how to do it though. I mean, it does have types for return values, but the return value type doesn't actually matter, right? So like if you run it in your own project, for example, one of the big things for this one was like one of my functions, it was typed to always return a dictionary. But there was always, I had like a long-standing bug that, you know, whenever I grabbed like some sort of configuration value, it would always just give me 1. I was wondering why. And as it turns out, yeah, there was just a method call that was just returning 1 because I forgot to implement it. So even though the method signature said it returned a dictionary, you are just able to return whatever you want. Does it happen in every single circumstance? I'm not sure. I think there are times, like I think for me especially, I think I have a bad habit of wishing I could do method overloading, but instead just using duck typing instead. So maybe I run it into a lot more type issues than other people. Sprite, texture, and then we'll do add child sprite. No sprite, huh? So this should have a script attached to it that we just can't see, I think. Oh, weird. Yeah, there's a lot of oddities with GD script, unfortunately. Some of which are nice, and like I 100% take advantage of, like the ability to just hot load scripts at runtime. I guess that's not weird, but you know. So am I not attaching this? So this worked before in everything.xml. So which one of these? Yeah, this one. So if I run everything, oh geez. Okay. 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 So now that I've broken this. Okay. I need some way to bail out of the specific ones. Since these don't actually exist, I think I can do node call set anchors preset, and then that would, it'll just be kind of weird, I suppose. Presets wide. Hey, non-existent, invalid call. That makes sense. And val is class control. Node, not value. Okay. Well, this is the wrong one. This one is the old one. Non-existent function is class in base nil. What do you mean base nil? Eh? What is the object? The object is a reference. Oh, okay. Type of node is equal to, what is it? Type object. Okay. Objects. So I think I can guarantee that this will always be an object, actually. Wrong one. Okay, this one. Okay, cool. So now this is still working. That's good. And also, what I was trying to demonstrate is that we are able to attach scripts arbitrarily as well. Not using the kind of load script syntax I was using before, but like if you just nest a script tag under another node, it should automatically attach, which is weird that it's not working. Oh, and thanks for redeeming a hydrate. Let me see. Let me drink some water. Drink some water and like spill half of it on myself because I'm apparently 3 years old and we still require a sippy cup. Okay, so this is actually being called here. I can guarantee that it's being called because I can look at the console and see that hello VBox was printed, and then we can also look at this and see that test eval was attached to that VBox. Let me see. So here, I guess we can just do like some sort of test value. Is water splash? Yeah, splish splash. Wasting water in a flash. All right, run me here. Oh, this is still running. No. All right, so this is correct. It's just not adding the node correctly. So it does have the, huh. Am I crazy? So it doesn't call ready like I think it should. Is this not how you do the ready function? Am I am I missing something? No, that's it. What did I do differently here? Because this worked. Let me see, did these even get called? So press up. No, these don't get called at all, but they are attached to the thing. Oh, maybe not. Were they not attached this time? So I can see the position is different in the inspector on the right. And then this current value is also set appropriately, but no functions are being called. And also the variable is also not being set. So, oh, it's because I took out the variable. Yeah, I took it out. So there's the test bar. Everything is correct, except it's not handling any input. So physics process is not being called. Let me see if I can just find it. So we'll do find node. What did I call it? Left paddle? Find node. Get script source code. And then we'll just print that out. Get script in base null instance on a null instance. Suppose that's fair enough. Let's do this. Func input event. Not using any types for this because I'm getting lazy. So if events is action pressed, UI accept probably, then we'll just do this entire print thing. Really? Is this not what I called it? So find node, left paddle. Shouldn't that be fine? Time to call function get script in base null instance on a null instance. Really? So node is not found. Left paddle is definitely here in the scene tree. Gotta think about that. Because otherwise I don't have a way of accessing any of these. Is this not how find node works? I can kind of just guess as to what the node should be called. So what I can do is get node and then just pass in the entire path manually just for testing, because my scripts don't appear to be taking effect even though they are like here. You can see there's no script actually attached to it, which makes sense, kind of. So this should be GDML. Breakpoint. Okay, so it was able to find it. All right. Send me. Okay. Yeah, so it's here. Actually, no, that's not right. Wait, maybe that is right? Oh, hello, Casper Dragonwolf. How are you? what I am working on, if you could not tell from the title, is I'm working on a HTML style. It's not HTML. I think that gets a lot of people. It's not HTML, but it's just HTML style node layouts. So I can demonstrate this by going here. Look at that. So this is neat. Everything works, supports up to 1 million nodes or XML tags in a single file. And then the idea is that you should be able to like kind of nest XML files inside of each other as well. Better than yesterday. I had a bad bout with food sickness. Sounds rough. Sounds rough. I've never had super bad food poisoning or food sickness, food poisoning. I suppose the worst I get is I guess usually at the exit. Doesn't usually come out the entrance, if you catch my drift. So I guess I've been able to avoid most really bad food poisoning. On the other hand, though, I guess I am just lactose intolerant, so it also kind of limits the amounts of potential attack vectors for food. So I just kind of naturally avoid dairy products. I still eat a lot of cheese, but that's besides the point. Let's see, Pong. Let me see, I'm not sure. Not sure what I'm looking for, but let's see. Is that the exit? Not have that entrance that was laid out for the day yesterday, so most of it away because of it. Hey, that was me today, except like minus the food poisoning part. You know, I went to sleep early last night. Slept for like 10 hours straight. Was only woken up because my parents called me. I was like, what? Who's calling me? Okay, so this is a problem. Oh, it's because of the comments. It's because of the inline comment. That is so dumb. This is so dumb. It's the comment that breaks it. If I take out the comment, this will work. I hate that. Yeah, and then we also have like a few errors. Create from image, invalid image. That's fair. I got updating working for your project manager for Godot. Neat. Yeah. Which method did you end up going with? So like the external scripts or the, I guess like the in-place like file renaming? All right, send me again. Icon is not declared in the current scope. That's fair. Create from image. Send me. Oh baby. Okay. Up pressed. Okay, hold on. This is bizarre, but we're doing it. Position dot x. No, not x. Position dot y plus equals, I don't know, 10. Oh, and this is also backwards. Yeah, there we go. There is Pong. There's the left paddle. Now we just need to copy it over to the other paddle. There's no way to set properties on a script, I think. I need to think about it. There's a lot of things that could be made better for this. Couldn't do the in-place file renaming. C# still says, no, can't do that. I have it integrated into the main executable. Basically, it'll extract the update, then launch the executable from the update folder. Then once the original instance exit, it copies everything over, then launches it back in the main install. Okay, so it just... How do you handle like executable renaming then, since you can't rename it in place, right? So do you just have like a version appended to your executable name? Is that how that works? Right, because if you have if the executable is called like, Godot Manager, right? You download the update. That must be called like Godot Manager 1 or something, right? Then you exit. Well, you launch Godot Manager 1. Godot Manager original exits, but then now you just have Godot Manager 1. So how do you handle the file rename, or is it just version based? Let's see. Let's do all of this stuff. This looks pretty good. So collision shape, CS shape is equal to rect, and we'll do the same thing for both of these. Then we'll just add child as well. Add child CS. It's a bit weird writing all of this inline. It's not version based. It's the name of the install name. So how do you? I guess I'm not understanding. How do you download it into the same location, or is it not downloaded into the same location? So how? Because at least on Windows and Linux, you cannot have two files with the same name. It's not downloaded to the same location. Okay. So then, how do you? If it's not downloaded to the same location, wouldn't that break a bunch of shortcuts? Download it into the update folder. Okay. Extracts to the update folder. Yeah. It launches the update Godot Manager. Yeah. Then Godot Manager detects which folder it's in. If it's in the update folder, okay, it copies itself. Okay. But then it's still running from the update folder, right? I guess it's already in memory, so it doesn't matter. Okay. The update only. Okay. Interesting. That makes sense. Yeah. It's kind of an indirect file replace, but that makes sense. That makes sense. Part of me wonders if it would just be easier just to have like an update script. And then just like write like a batch script for Windows, and then just a basic shell script on Mac and Linux. That would do roughly the same thing, so you don't have to juggle. But yeah, I think that approach makes sense. All right, cool. So what is the input? Input is key pressed. Is key pressed? Oh yeah, and then I need to key W. Is that what it's called? So input is key pressed, and then this is key up. Is key pressed key down? The very obvious downside to what I'm doing is that you don't get any code completion whatsoever. It's okay. For now, this is fine. Yes. Require 2 or not 3 separate scripts to do it, separate executables to do it. If I go the C# route, would it require several different scripts? So wouldn't it just work like you would have? So you would have a script to kind of you would do like some sort of option management. I forget how you do it. But you do like I don't know, like if we're writing a shell script, right? you would do like a shebang, bin, bash, or you can just do shell, it doesn't matter. So curl for, is this how you do it? Yeah. Something like that. Is it 2? So you curl output to whatever folder. So you make directory temp, curl output temp, exe name, right? Right, and then you would just rm the original one and then copy over the other one. That's how I would imagine like the external script route would go. So you would only require just one different script. So you just pass commands to your shell scripts or your batch script, whatever. And then copy over the new one. Or maybe you don't rm the original exe, but you move the original exe to original exe old. And I suppose you would also need to catch any errors, which I forget how you do. It's called a trap, isn't it? So you need the trap, some sort of error code, I forget what it's called. So you move old, then you copy the exe to just original exe, and if there's any error, then you trap it, and then just move this back, something like that. Not all Linux have bash or Mac OS, so it becomes dependency. Well, you can guarantee that everything will have shell, so most of these should be present. Maybe not curl. I suppose curl would be kind of tough. Since I didn't realize that, did you know Debian doesn't come with curl? I did not realize Debian did not come with curl, but I'm pretty sure all of these are just available in SH shell, the original shell. Yeah, most modern distros come with curl by default, though. I would be surprised if they didn't. Yeah, I don't know. Like I think that's like the most I go down to is like if you don't have regular if you don't have like regular shell, sorry, you're not supported. Oh, hello Bumty. They ship wget. Wait, does Debian come with wget by default? Isn't like wget is based on, no, maybe not actually. I've always thought like wget was just better curl in the same way that vim is better vi, but that might not be true. now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah. Wget is, I don't know. I know my work laptop does not have wget on it. I just use curl. So these should all be fine. Maybe weird. Yeah, I don't know. I've never used wget, I guess, intentionally. Like I've installed it if I needed to install it. What distro? I have a very stripped down version of Fedora. So I've made a few changes based off of the recommended install stuff. So I don't know. And also, like, I'm supposed to keep in mind that my version of Fedora is very old. Like I told this before, but I've only recently updated my, well, not only recently, but I updated my Fedora install like a few months ago to 33. I was on Fedora 29 for forever though. I think the current Fedora is Fedora 36. So I'm still like a few releases behind. Okay, so let's create a ball. This is pretty gross in how you have to write 2D. So I need to like, when I'm doing the node generation, I need to check for that. Or I suppose, wouldn't this syntax also work? So I could do camera 2D like that, or just camera 2D. Wouldn't that also work, or is this gonna throw an error? Oh, it did throw an error. Unknown scene, tag or scene, camera 2D. Unable to handle element for tag, okay. Error occurred while generating. Oh, good. Oh, good. Maybe I need to do, if inner error is not equal to okay, or inner error does not equal error code none. That's weird. Or this should be and, sorry. Wait, what? I'm generating. The none-error code should not exist. Where does none come from? It's okay. Yeah, these actually, yeah, okay is the same as none. If error okay is none. Maybe that's not true. Maybe that's not true. Oh, this doesn't usually happen. And I don't get any errors here. That's very strange. Anyways, that's okay. Let's see. What is it called? This is called rigid body 2D. Rigid body 2D. So we'll just call this ball rigid body 2D script. All right, so this needs to extend a rigid body 2D. For now, there's a parsing bug, which is why I need to use this super gross, 2_d syntax. But we will figure it out. All right, so I think this would be a kind of a cool demo demonstrating how this could almost actually replace the entire scene tree. Like, it's still the scene tree, but you could ship this instead of the other stuff. It's part of the reason why I'm doing tests in a test repo instead of doing it in the main repo, because I've done a bunch of test builds and ensure everything is properly done. Yeah, I mean, for updating in place, it sounds like there's a bunch of things that could potentially go wrong, especially when you are removing the original binary, which could be kind of scary. I totally understand. Totally understand where you're coming from. How do you modify the scale for these objects? Sprite scale, is that X? Is X a, yeah, it's X. Just Golang or something. Get actions probably working to build my executable in the first place. I've been pretty lazy about using GitHub Actions, especially since I don't use the, for a lot of my stuff, I don't use the standard Godot build. Scale. You can jack it up by 3, so we stretch it out. So we do this. Indented block, expected after declaration of ready function. Where? Oh, it's here. This broke. Okay. There we go. Looking real normal. Keep from having a bunch of dependencies based upon platforms. Yeah, I get that as well. Right, that's why I like doing a lot of my code entirely in GD script. Because for the few dependencies for this application that I've written that are in Rust, it's such a pain having to, you know, continuously have to rebuild it over and over again for other platforms. All right. By the way, we're getting there. We're getting close. I just need to do the same thing over again. So var. We'll do the collision shape stuff. Yeah, and we'll do the sprite stuff as well. Look at that. And then for probably like the dodge the creeps demo, I'll do it more, I guess it's not piecemeal. What is it called? Modular, where I load in scripts instead of just writing all the scripts inline. Although this is kind of cool. And actually, if I change this to GD script, do you think that'll work? Yeah, so it lints incorrectly. It lints incorrectly, but it is pretty close. That's weird. Okay, so name ball rigid body 2Ds. How do you do Pong again? I always talk about like this is the best one to do stuff on. Let me see. Isn't it like you don't need a physics material, right? Yeah, you can just add like an impulse, something like that. How did I make Pong before? I wrote this once on stream already. But I am just forgetting how to do it. Apply impulse. Yeah, apply central impulse. So apply central impulse, and we'll just always send it left just because. Or actually, rand range from to, okay, -1 to, so rand range -1 1. Okay, cool. And isn't it like I would want to, hold on. I'm bad at math. Rand I, what does rand I do? I want a random integer between -1 and 1. So that's not gonna work. Can't you can hit this with a round. Oh, but then you can't force it. That's tough. I guess that's okay. What's being linted improperly though? Unexpected token. Oh, it's the GD scripts. Where did it go? Was it too fast? We can have it just be really slow. That's fine. It's gone. It's somewhere. I'm not sure where it went. Let's not apply any impulse, I suppose. Need to make sure not to have any comments. You know what? In the generator, or not in the generator, it's in the parser though, actually. Also reload me. All right, so in the parser, oh, it's not in the parser, it's in the reader. I guess I do need to handle this explicitly so that I can have inline comments. It is pretty weird how you're not allowed to do that. XML parser, node comment. So this should just be like a do nothing. Yeah. Intentionally do nothing. Just so that we're allowed to have comments like this. So I do this. Hello. Previously this would actually break. Oh, and it still breaks. That's good. And it still breaks. That's weird. Why does it break? Shouldn't the reader doesn't care about any of the comment stuff? Like I can actually do this where we print where is the get text? Get no data. Oh, a few errors. How does this work? Is this not how this works? Godot XML Parser. Okay. So we have a comment node. Sure. Gets the contents of a text node. Error in any other type of node. Yeah, sure. Gets the name of the current element node. Is this get node name? Or is neither? Okay, hold on. Get node type has attributes. How do you? Ooh? Ooh. Ooh. So so we're intentionally doing nothing, which means that we should just continue on. So yeah, so we'll read on to the next part of the node, but it doesn't appear that we do that. Oh, I see. It's this part. So I need to continue processing for as long as possible, but that's good. That's good. I guess it just broke. That's tough. That's tough. Because that means that we don't have any node data. So the node text actually breaks once it encounters a node comment. That's tough. But I can't do is finished there. Let me think. Bring me back to reader, and then we'll just kind of hang on to it and see how it goes. This seems very strange. Oh, and of course that will not be correct. Boom. So the current ND is a GDML. There is no text. Sure. Then we read again. Get node type. Oh. Okay. Here's what we can do. So, So if nd text empty, so just see if there's nothing inside of it. If there's nothing inside of it, then we're finished. That's fine. So let's see how that parses. So we are still inside of GDML. Boom, boom. Text is empty, so we're finished. So we read. Send me again. No text. We are inside of camera 2D. I think it's empty. Yeah. Jump. This is kinematic body 2D. And I think this is where the comment is. That's not where the comment is. It's in the second one. Send me. Oh. This is, well, that's the script, so it doesn't matter, I guess. Ending. Ooh. Probably also an ending. Okay, so node name, this is the second one, so we jump to this one. This is the script that has a comment inside of it. So text is not empty. Comment. Okay, I think that's good. That's the rest of the text. Oh, I see. Okay, this is another problem. So this needs to be plus equals. All right, so this should not work now. Okay, well, I thought that was okay. Are you working on demo UI soon? Yeah, that's basically what I'm trying to work on. Or to demonstrate what I'm working on is I'm making Pong. I'm making Pong within the UI framework because just, yeah, I think it'd be cool. Just to demonstrate that it should be possible. So you could just use it for regular game stuff as well. So that's a demonstration of how flexible it is. But I am running into several problems that do need to be fixed. One is that comments kind of break stuff for whatever reason. So to demonstrate, check this out. It has now been tail call optimized. Everything still works. It's very ugly, but so it goes. So you can have up to 1,000, or not 1,000, 1,000,000 different tags. Let's see. Comments intentionally do nothing. So this breaks. This also breaks. Boom, 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 boom. This is the inner script. Should be, or this is not the inner script. This is the inner script. So that's the text. Go here, match node type. Oh, I see. How do I... That's kind of tough. That's kind of tough. Because I can't assume... Or that's kind of tough, yeah. If you have a comment node, everything kind of breaks because it's parsed differently for whatever reason. Because this means that we don't actually close it correctly, and then we get to the element end, and then we just kind of break. Okay, so I'm seeing a few things that need to be changed. Or it's possible, like, I can just go backwards, if that makes any sense. So if I ever encounter just a hanging node text, maybe remove the comments before parsing, it's not possible. And it's not like a Godot GDScript comment. So these are, I believe these are defined to be just their own nodes, by the way, which is why this is kind of tough. Because if you kind of notice that, you know, XML, just a bunch of tags, you know, less than, greater thans. Comment is also just a bunch of less than, greater thans. So it is just its own node. So that is valid. HTML comments, yeah. I'm thinking. I think maybe if we just encounter an empty node text, I just need to handle that a bit differently. So in process nodes, so if the node name is empty, but yeah, okay. Here's what I can do. So if the node name is empty, but there is actual text, then I'll need to, yeah, okay, I see it. Oop. So remove the thing if you take the script and duplicate? No, it doesn't. I don't think that solves anything. Because what happens is that it separates the text block into 2 blocks. So the script is incomplete. But I think here what I can do is if we have some data that does not have a node name, but data text is not empty, then we'll want to do node stack -1 text plus equals data text, something like that. Got identifier instead. Expected end of statement after expression. Where? Got identifier instead. Oh geez. Oh no. Now we are in like unknown script territory. This happens sometimes. So now that it's not, now we're processing a runtime loaded script. We're not actually able to see what the error is. So if we print, we just try to look at this and see if it's okay. So we'll bug out. I think that looks correct. Expected end of statement after expression, got identifier instead. So what is that line 19? So where would 19 be? That's probably it. Okay. So that's correct. Okay, so it's almost certainly here. So nothing else has broken except for this part. So I'm not really sure where line 19 is, so let's just count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Oh, I see. I see. Is that it just appended scale to the end of it. So that's fantastic. Big fan of that. So did it strip? Oh, it did strip it. Oh, okay. So maybe I should not be, I should not be doing strip edges. What am I doing? Okay, there we go. So now we're able to insert in just random comments. And also we're no longer just stripping the codes. Okay, so this is way better. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. That's something I did not realize. Yeah, the comments are actually like parsed in XML. That's obvious that like in any programming language, comments are always parsed, but you know. So git commit fix comments being parsed incorrectly. Start work on Pong example. Yeah, so let's push it. We'll get back to this. Yeah, let's add this comment back actually, because this is a pretty important comment. To do, make this portable, aka not a res path. So this should still load in. Yeah, okay, cool. It makes me nervous every single time it happens though. Like, man, you never know. We ran into a comment somewhere. So just add the text body to the previous tag. Okay. So why doesn't this work? Because we should just have a ball and it should be using the same stuff as well. Oh, it's because of the gravity, right? It's the gravity. So for a rigid body 2D, let me see. Gravity. Or can't you set gravity separately? So like via code, so I don't even need to mess with any of this stuff? Physics. BVH, default gravity vector. Isn't this something I can set? Okay. So change the default gravity vector at runtime. Use the following code sample. Set the default gravity direction to vector 201. Area set param, get viewport. What the heck? What is this code snippet? That will work. That's kind of gross though. The heck? Godot default gravity vector. All right, give me the code snippet so I can just copy and paste it. At runtime, yes. Okay. All right, so here what we can do is a anonymous script. So func init. So is this going to be, oh, okay. So get world 2D. Get world 2D only exists on, oh, that's tough. Extends node. This is tough because this requires access to the current scene, which I don't really have, unfortunately. And I'd rather try to do everything via here, which is might be a bad idea. Vector 2, 0. Yeah. I think that's okay. Yeah. So it'll just run. by itself. So hopefully this should not just fall out of the map. GetWorld2D is not declared in the current class. All right, this is a Node2D. It was GetWorld2D. Oh, hold on. Where is it? Where have you gone? Where's the ball? It is falling at a prodigious pace. It's also like, why is it at negative? Why is it so far away? Why is it so far away? What? Ooh. Why is it so far away? So this should be a rigid body 2D with this script attached to it. I guess what I can do is just do this. So we can just force it. This might be a bit easier as well. GetWorld2D not declared in the current class. Fair enough. Change type. Node2D. Bring me back. So this is now a Node2D. Thanks for redeeming channel point reward, Nova. Let me see. Why isn't this really working? Or the better question is, why does a ball just get absolutely yeeted every single time? So if I add something here, physics process, delta, and then just print out the current position. Right. We can see, yeah, why is it so fast? Why is it so fast? Like it starts at 0, 0, and then it just zooms. So on ready, that should be okay. What I could do, because this is just being no, it's actually not being instantiated. That's not true. See about zoom. Yeah, it zooms so fast. It zooms a bit too fast. So I could probably catch it by just setting a breakpoint here. So physics process delta, and we'll just hit it with like a print delta, just so we have something to stop on. So where are we at? Nothing. That's good. Yeah, and there we go. we can see the ball. We can see the ball. It's in the process of being yeeted. So I'm interested. Overlapping physics bodies. It might be that. It might be that. So this shouldn't be... Well, I guess what I can do is this, right? We could just do get tree or... Oh my god. Sorry. I apologize. Just had the sudden urge to just sneeze straight into the mic. It took everything I had to not do that. Instead, like, whip my head away, like, under my table. Yeah. So if I do, like, a yield get tree idle frame. It's got the allergy sniffles. Oh, yeah. Allergy sniffles, and it's getting, like, real hot. Except for, like, yesterday where we had, like, a giant windstorm that knocked over pretty much everything everywhere. Okay, there we go. So, yeah, probably what happened was that they were all spawned at position, like the wrong position, essentially. And then on ready, yeah. So that's for one frame exactly, they were all at position 0, 0. That's probably what happened. The hard part about fixing this is that I need a way to... What's hard about fixing this is I need a way to like apply a style, essentially, or not apply a style. It's called a style, but it's like a property and or style. So you can see here, set indexed, but then how do I do the splitting? I'm pretty sure that this is not going to work because I can't just split on this, or at least I need the split from the other side. So string split. Or is it reverse split? From the right. Ah, okay. So we can right split it, and I think that should be fine. Can you disable collisions until they're in whatever position they should be in? Yes, I think. Oh, I think the harder part is I need to... I don't know. Disabling collisions until they're whatever position they need to be in. I don't think that's feasible, unfortunately, because that would need to be based off a callback, but I don't have that kind of information at this time. Because you might notice that we are writing all of this in XML, not even regular GD scripts. So, I mean, this does the trick where we just wait one frame for these to move. A better solution would be to go to style handler and then allow for the properties to be manipulated, or like specific properties to be manipulated. So what I'm referring to is I need the ability to do this. So we do props. And so position. So I believe that you're able to set the position of a node before it's added to the scene tree. So this is how I would do it. So position like X, and then you would need to do it like that, which is kind of really gross. But I don't really know how else you would do this by index. Do I ever do this for the other one? I don't. Yeah, that's tough. I think that's okay. And then if we change this to be R split, so we R split and then just once, that should be okay. Maybe. If we do, hold on, if we go back to everything, this still renders correctly, which is good because I've changed how the inline styles are handled. Then if we go back to here, take out this position call. Oh, baby. Okay, okay, okay. And then we take out this one. So take out the yield, and then here, right paddle, we'll do the same props thingy. This is pretty gross. Yeah, so position X. How else would you do this? Like, what I could do is change the syntax to like, it's like Angular style, but then I need to switch this back to, I would need to switch it back to being Godot style afterwards. So like this looks good to me, like position dash X, is that's how you would access that property. But then after I parse it, then I need to switch it back to position colon X if I want to do doing the set index thing I've been doing. I think that should work. Oh, no. Okay, yeah. Look at that. It's beautiful. It just works. Now, if you have... Actually, yeah, no. You can never have a colon in any of your values because that doesn't make any sense. Unless you're parsing a string, in which case you will have problems. Just don't have a colon in your string name. But, you know, I guess that's just how it is with strings. That's just how it is with strings. Yeah, I suppose that's the only limitation, is that your strings cannot have any colons in them. If you want to insert a colon, you might need to do it the weird HTML syntax way, which is fair enough. Here, we'll do add central impulse, and we'll just do it like vector 2. Ah, geez. Add central impulse isn't declared. Is that not what it is? Add central impulse? Or add impulse? What is add impulse? Apply central impulse. Yeah. Oh, good. Yep. Exactly how I imagined it would work. Is it just kind of bumps into it, and then we can kind of wiggle it. Run me again. Why is this so weird? Is it because the collision box did not scale along with it? And then also, why is the bounce factor of this so garbage? We'll answer this question and more once I refill my drink and go to the bathroom. BRB. Oh, hello, I'm back. All right. So how was it? So you would want to do physics material override, add a new physics material, and then add friction 0, bounce 1, something like that. So then to do this entirely via code, we can do there's your collision shape, blah, blah. These are just set on the physics material override. So this is on rigid body 2D. Then physics material override, physics material. Okay. Physics material. New. Then we want to set the friction to 0. And then PM bounce is equal to, was it 10? Was it 1 to 0 or 0 to 10? 1 to 0. And then physics body, physics material override. Yeah, so this is a lot of work, mostly just to show off the fact that you can do everything via the XML part, which I thought was kind of cool. Might not be, yeah, like realistically, like you would probably not want to do this for your entire project, but you totally could. And what I was kind of thinking was that because these are just XML files, potentially with other resources located in the same context path, what you could do if you wanted to just try out like a Godot game. So like this is how you would play like a Godot, an exported Godot project via the web player without having to like upload it to itch.io, right? So you would just drag your .pack file here and then they load it in the same instance. It's pretty cool. So what I was thinking is because my application just reads an XML file, what you could do is bundle all your XML files or just drop the single XML file. You could drop that into some sort of web player that I could create, right? And then that's a way that you would be able to really, really quickly deploy just a random game to web. Is that it just kind of builds it on the fly instead of like pre-compiling and then doing all the WASM stuff, right? I think that could be really cool. I think that could be really cool. And of course, this is all done assuming that the XML parser is included on export, which I have not actually checked yet, but amazing. Bit tricky, but interesting. Yeah, it's actually something I've done already, though. Actually, I've done something similar for which one? Where is it? This one. Oh my god, it's so bright. Why is it so bright? Why would you do this past me? Yeah, friendly potato editor. I don't think this works really anymore. Yeah, but what you could do is that you could, because it just saves everything as JSON, so just via drag and drop, you would be able to load and save old conversation nodes. This was done, when did I write this? When did I write this? I wrote this 1.5 years ago. It's been a while. But yeah, so I already have the logic set up. No problem. You just need to connect to the scene tree files dropped, and then you just need to parse it, right? Easy. Then how did that work here? Load from drag and drop. Yeah. Then we open all the stuff, parse JSON, and then create all the nodes here. So I think a similar approach could actually work for these files. So if you want like a really, really quick deployment, I think it could totally work. The only hard part is I'm not sure how to handle a zip file. But I mean, everything is pretty easy though, because the Like, this is all you really need. I guess, like, this is also nice to have. Because you don't really have a... Well, let's try it here. Does this work? Script. So I can just insert random script. That's fine. So extends node 2D, because we need to have access to the world 2D, and then in ready, we'll do all of this stuff. Yeah, there we go. So that'll work. And that just means that we have like a garbage node that's just kind of there. Yeah, look at that. There's Pong. It's kind of bad, but you know, it happens. And then for kinematic bodies, oh, we also don't have walls. I just remembered there are no walls. But that's okay. That's okay. You know what? I'm not gonna add walls. Walls are for nerds. Look at that. Why does the scale not change? It only changes the sprite. It doesn't change the rectangle. Oh, you know what? Because the rectangle is too small. Okay, so the rectangle rect extent needs to be 3232. So this is vector 2 32 32, something like that. And then this should be slightly more correct. We don't need walls. Yeah. I like the cut of your jib. Yeah. There we go. It's beautiful. Kind of. They look slightly offset, or at least this other one looks slightly offset. Or no, this is the ball, which is also correct. Gonna run this with just Godot run scene. Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much it. Well, what do you mean Godot run scene? Do you mean like call like the Godot binary and then we just have a runner that will just run the XML? Gonna head off and working again to stuff to you. Hope your stream goes well. Take it easy. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah. But CLI only. That could be cool. That could be cool. I could just include a runner. I don't know why. I don't know why you would want to do that, but I think that is totally possible. Yeah. Or GDML, I mean, not text scene. Oh, you mean like only GDML? I think that is a bit more difficult. I think you would always need to have a runner here because you need something to be able to load the context path, and then also just like some logic for which files to even parse as the entry points. So like the reason why that you need to load in a context path. Let's do this. GDML is equal to load. Let me demonstrate what I mean by this like entire idea, right? Something like this. Yeah, you'll need entry pointer Godot binary will complain. Yeah, so there'll always be like the default text scene, and then yeah, I suppose it could just hold on to stuff. And then everything else is just generated at runtime. So like you can see here, actually, yeah, this doesn't even need to be a node 2D. This could just be like a regular node. And then change this back to a node as well. So look, check that out. It's beautiful. Yeah. Different possibilities. Yeah, I guess if I just supply my own scene tree so you're able to run it from binary itself. This could work, right? So the application structure is that you always feed in a new context path. Is this how you spell generate, by the way? Oh, it's generator, not generator. Since it can be used outside of Godot, but as a UI library. Yeah, it could be used outside of Godot pretty much entirely. Or I guess yeah, it could just be used entirely outside of Godot. Like, you don't actually need the Godot editor to do any of this programming. But you still get the benefit of like a tree structure. Like a UI library for a CLI tool? Maybe. It could be cool. It could be cool. I would need to look into just an external runner. But this is neat right now. The only problem with this is that there's currently no way to attach just like a script. Oh, and this is also wrong, I think. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, here's what I could do. I could just have like a superscript here. That will actually work as well, I think. Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, see, so this makes sense now, yeah. Look at that. And I think if you also want to do it like in the standard Godot way, you can also just nest nodes inside of other nodes, just because. So you can have like node. So I think this should still be valid. This will just create like a node. Maybe not. I don't know where they went. Were they just added? Where were they added? To instances, script 0? What happened to them? Did they just not get parsed? So this should have been valid. Maybe not. Wait a minute. Is it based off of their nesting? Like the actual formatting? That seems like a bug, actually. I'm not sure what causes it, though. Huh, that's weird. That's really weird. So if I don't format the XML file correctly, then it just kind of breaks? That doesn't make any sense. Oop. So let's step through the entire parser stuff again. Why is this so tough? Why is this so tough? All right, send me. So this should be node is finished. Ooh, sure. Yes. Send me again. All right, I actually have no way of knowing what it is. You sure you should use the first node as not GDML? I think there's an implicit GDML node. Yeah, there is just an implicit GDML node that contains everything. Which is why this is technically possible. Let me see. Read node. ND. We'll grab the node name. So node name is node. Did I not save this? Oh, that's not the attribute. Okay, that's fine. Node text, there's no node text, so this is node. Wait. Outer node? Okay. Let me see. So this should be a new one. Node. Attributes inner node. Yeah. So do these not parse correctly? Do these, what did I say like that? Do these not parse correctly if you just don't nest them? So node name, node, outer node. Oh? Wait a minute. What is this? Inner node. That's weird. So if you just don't nest it properly, it also just breaks? God, GD scripts. The parser is kind of bugged, isn't it? Parser kind of sucks. The more I work with it, the more I'm like, man, this is horrible. This is not GitHub. It's Godot. Yeah, if I'm interpreting this correctly, this is garbage. So skip the first one, skip the second one, and then we can check to see that this is outer node. Wait. No, that's right. Ooh. Outer node, yeah. Skip this. So that's outer node, yeah. And then this should be, oh, it's because it doesn't have an implicit text field. That's tough. That's tough. Okay, I think I can fix this. I think I can fix this. So if there is no text node, so I think what's happening is that every single one of these empties, basically just like the tabs, those are interpreted as text nodes, which makes sense, I think. So what I need to do is, if node name is, if node name is, if nd node name, so if it's not empty, then we'll just return whatever we have so far, and then we'll just continue on second. If you use tabs instead, I don't think it makes a difference. I'm pretty sure what it's looking for is just characters. And I think if it breaks on spaces but not tabs, I think that's also a problem. I think that's also a big problem. Script inherits from native type node 2D, so it can't be instanced in object of type node. Oh geez. Where? Where? What if you mix them also? It shouldn't make a difference. It shouldn't make a difference. How do I insert a tab? Where do I grab a tab character from? Can't I just do like raw tab or escape tab? That should also just kind of work. Maybe not. It's bottom. What do you mean if it's bottom? Bottom right. Well, oh yeah, this part, yeah, for sure. So convert indentations to tabs. Almost certainly will work. Right, like it'll work for sure. Like whether or not I'm using tabs or spaces doesn't really make a difference, since they should be treated as white space no matter what. So script inherits from native type node 2D, so it can't be instanced in object of type node. So I wonder, is it placing it Oh, it's trying to instance the script to the object on the stack, even though they aren't. Huh. Well, also, if you mix in this, see if it crashes. I don't think it. That doesn't make a difference, right? It shouldn't matter. So we can, yeah, I guess we can convert it to that, and then just 1, 2, 3, 4. That doesn't make a difference for sure. I think I spoke too quickly. I think the Godot system makes sense. It's just infuriating that it's so literal, I suppose. Let me see. So in the generator, I do need to. I need to take a. I need to look at the stack and then see what's going on there. So we'll look at the layout. So generate requires a layout. Okay, here we go. So stack. So everything that's on our, oh, it's not our stack, it's our layout. Our layout contains our tags. This is node depth 1, location 0. That makes sense. Depth 1. That's not true. Ooh. Node with 1 attribute outer node. This one is wrong. How did this get placed here? Then this, oh, it just missed the entire inner. It just missed the entire inner tag, and it cut it off and then tried to correct it for me. Okay, interesting. So there's an error with parsing here. So what happened is it just kind of, yeah, it got rid of this inner node for whatever reason. I don't know why. And so how it interpreted it was, I'm not sure actually what it did to correct it, but the correction logic is wrong, presumably because of this logic here. So let's do this. We'll step through this. So the first one is garbage. Second one is okay. Oh, hold on. What is ND? This is node. Wait, what? Node. That's fine. Okay. Outer node, yeah. Step over. We go into the next one. And we stepped into another thing. We return. This data is node with attribute outer name. That's fine. Step me one more time. Boom. This should be node. Yeah. What happens, what happened? Inner node. Yeah, that makes sense. Step me. This should be script. Yeah, that's script. And then there's an attribute. Oh. No, there's no attribute. All the text, we return. What's in our node stack? What does our node stack look like? Send me. So that is node. Oh, hold on. Oh, this is inner node, but this is the close tag of the inner node. How did that happen? What happened? How does that happen? How does that happen? Boom, boom. We read again. Then we should return. Yeah. Then this is outer node is open. Yeah. Step me again. This should be. Yeah, this is now inner node. Oh, okay. So I need the check. I need to add this check multiple times. Okay. We put this in. I think this should fix a bunch of things. Okay, maybe not. There's a problem here with the node stack. I'm not sure what it is though. So the layouts, tags. So outer node, second one, inner node, script, depth 1. This should be node depth 2. Yeah, what was the error? That's the breakpoint. Sure. Script inherits from node 2D, so it can't be instance and object of type node. These will still work. Kind of. So this one is outer node. Sure. Parse again. We are in inner node. The next one. Really? Give me another try, coach. Boom, boom. Then this is node. Node, yeah. So read node, sure. And then our node stack, this is open, open, close, close. Yeah. That should be correct. So why is it trying to, in the, So generator. So once we start parsing these, I need to keep track of this. So this should be script 4 because it's a script that's at location 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. So, oh, it's because we added to the top stack object. Maybe that's not correct. Maybe this should be, I should do like stack add child. Right? What does stack add child do? Stack add child does a lot of fancy processing for me. Add child. So if it's a node, yeah. Okay, so instead of doing all the fancy processing manually, let's just do stack add child. And then I also do a check to see if it's a control root, right? Add child. So if it's a node, finding all kinds of bugs now that I've turned into actual implementation or started doing actual implementation. So script handler, handle tag. So I think the, Oh, because the depths are the depths are the same. That's not good. That's not good. Let's do add child, stack top. So if it's class this and not a control root, that's probably the best that I can do there. So if it's a control root, we don't want to set it. So if it's class node, stack top is not control root, or not is control root, then we'll just set the script. Else stack top add instance object param, which means that we can now do stack add child script name. Pretty sure that's okay. This is still very incorrect. At add child argument 1. Ooh. Oh, it needs a depth as well. That's fine. So that should still work for the everything example. Oh no. Well, no, that's the breakpoint. That's fine. It's kind of weird, but it's fine. But I think the way that I'm adding things to the stack is still incorrect. So like add child, this should be like based off of depth -1, shouldn't it? Or I don't want the top of the stack, I want the one that's under the top of the stack. So this is like under top. Under top. Yeah, because the problem that this was causing me to run into is I should not be adding it to the top of the stack, especially if they're not like real objects. Yeah, they should be added to the thing that's under the top of the stack. So this is under top. So under top. I think that's okay. Everything, most of these should still be hooked up. It looks like this is a bit weird. Now, I'm not sure what's going on with this button, but everything else looks okay. All right, script inherits from native type node2d, so it can't be instanced in an object of type node. Why is this happening? Oh my god, send me again. So this is the script. Boom, boom. The under top. Believe that that's just a node, which is not correct. What's in the stack? That's a node. That's a node. I mean, that's true. that's correct. The depth is not being respected, which is the problem. Oh, you know what? I think we can do this. Oh, thanks for redeeming a hydrate. I think I've got it, by the way. I think I've got it. This time I did not spill water all over myself. I'm happy to report. All right, here we go. So we can always just pop things from the stack and then simplify this logic. So if it's a class node, then we'll just add child and then push it onto the stack. And I feel like then we don't need to do like an under top kind of thing. Right. I think this is okay. It's beautiful. And then everything still works. Oh, it's beautiful. Look at that. What a great API. It's so functional. It's so functional. I love it. We're fixing all these bugs as well. So git commit. What did we fix? We fixed bad stack logic, or fix bad stack logic when adding scripts. Pong kind of works. Yeah, there we go. So that's more or less Pong, I guess. I suppose you do need more stuff attached to it, though. So what would we do here? Let's do like the regular UI as well. So doing things as like a GDML kind of guarantees that it will have certain types of logic attached to it. Or basically, like GDML guarantees that the script will exist. So you can do like JavaScript style, you know, callbacks and stuff. I suppose you don't actually need to use GDML if you don't want to use GDML. Yeah, I think I think this will still work if you just don't use GDML as well. So if you take that out, doesn't this still work? Yeah, okay, yeah, it still works even if you don't have the GDML part. Oh no, hold on. Yeah, there we go. It's kind of bizarre. If you're not doing UI stuff, then I guess this is okay. Yeah, look at that. You can just slap things into it. Yeah, look at that. It's a little bizarre for sure, but it works. And so let's do the UI now. Everyone loves a good UI. So GDML. I think I also need to have a better way of handling 2D things. So if it ends in like a number, then D, then we'll try to capitalize the D. So GDML, this will be style is equal to, how did I do anchors? So anchor full rect, but then it was anchor, yeah, anchor left. So anchor left should probably be like 0.4. Anchor right 0.6. Anchor top probably, yeah, probably don't need an anchor top. And then anchor bottom we probably need. Is that what it's called? Anchor bottom? Anchor bottom, yeah. Anchor bottom 0.9. Margin top, we'll do like 10. Yeah, something like that. So what will this look like? So like this is hello, sure. It's been placed incorrectly. Anchor left, anchor right, anchor bottom, margin top. What happened? 0.46. But why is this all the way over here? So the rect position is really far. Why is it so far over here? Oh, I see. It's because this needs to be canvas layer. Because I don't actually generate anything on like a canvas layer. I just put it into a control. So now this should be correct. Yeah, but now they get generated at like a really weird position then. Okay. Let's bring me back to a node. How do I undo this? I think we can do it like this, right? Won't this work? Canvas layer. And then canvas layer. I think that might work. That might be. Yeah, look, it's so valid. It's beautiful. I absolutely hate how I'm doing this, but it totally works. Yeah. And then you have your GDML instance in here, which is just the container, and then you can set your align to be center, isn't it? Align center. You got WebSockets for any app to connect for like GUI library. Well, see, that's the beauty of it, right? Is that this is just GD script. So like, and you can also load in GD scripts as well, as demonstrated here. So you can just load in another library as long as you have the proper entry point, and then you can use that in any, well, maybe not any other one of these scripts, but it will be available in the environment to access. Like GUI library. I'm not sure how you would use this as a GUI library. Well, maybe. What I mean is 0 GD scripts. I'll have to think about it. That seems kind of out of scope. That sounds really hard. I think this is more interesting in that it allows you to just write inline GD scripts. But it's like Qt. Well, I don't know. I'll have to think about how that will even be designed. I think as just a GUI library for just Godot, this is pretty sick. As a GUI library that just works for anything, I'm not sure how that will work. It's a cross-compiled good GUI. Maybe. I don't know. I think you would still need to have some sort of glue code. It's like Python, right? It's the Python problem where you will need to have some glue code somewhere to bind your native library to this. Right. Which is where this kind of runner, right? That's where this comes into handy. Yeah, WebSockets. Well, you can, the developer can write their own WebSocket library. That's not my problem. If the developer wants to use this as like a weird front end, it's not hard, right? All you need to do is, you have your own WebSocket implementation here. GDML can expose some signals or whatever, or it can try to even listen for signals. Or you can, in GDML somewhere, you can apply a registered scene to it as well. So, and then just instance it in, and that scene will do its thing. Yeah, so I'm not going to build it, but it's not hard because it's already built into Godot. So label, what is, all right, so it's label align center. Oh, geez. Align center, so this should be int 1. I think that's okay. Didn't really work, but that's okay as well. Label, is that not how labels work? Is that they don't have like the align? Oh, yeah, no, that's right. It just looks bad. Supports multiple windows. Yep, it's good for use like pop-ups and tooltip windows. I'll need to think about it. I think this is pretty good as it is. It's pretty good as it is. I don't really want to do too much more than this because that's going like already like this is more than I need. It just so happens that this would be cool, and it's possible to do stuff like this, right? But that's not the intent. The intent is not to do this. It's just a consequence of how I'm doing the node generation that you can also just write your entire application via XML. Right. Needs to be set to one of the constants. Just giving opinions and use cases for future use. Yeah, maybe. It's tough though. It's tough since you like to fiddle so much. Yeah, well, I like to fiddle up until. Hello, Snowy. Nice duck. Nice duck. Thank you for the follow, by the way. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I'm still like, every time I work on this application, I get super mind flooded. But I like to fiddle up until it's like good enough to be used. So I think it's pretty much at this point good enough to be used for this application. So, that's the entire reason why I wrote this, is so that I can use this as the UI for this. And then anything else is just based off of my need for that. I think if other people find it useful, that would be really cool. And then there are like other things as well. I'm only thinking of this in like terms of Godot, but if you think that you could use, I closed my own window. Wasn't thinking. Sorry. I'll bring it back. Yeah, I don't know. I think providing additional features for other people is out of scope for me. Where I guess like providing niceties for other people is out of scope for me. But it's an easy PR if you want to write something yourself. As long as it follows coding standards and all that. Let's see. This label needs to have a script associated with it. So we can do something like... This might also be kind of tough. Because I'm pretty sure if I do it like this, right? If you write your label like this, yeah, it inserts a new line into the label. Yeah. Which makes this tough, right? Which makes this tough. Maybe it should be... I don't know, man. This is hard. Because I'm not sure what to do for this. Maybe if it's like... If it's a script... If the previous thing was a script... Or has no name at all... Oh, okay, yeah, I see what I need to do. Yeah. So for reader, we're doing CLI tools. I would do it, but I'm far away from that. Yeah, that's why I'm saying it doesn't make sense. It's like if you're using a CLI tool, I think you would want to keep everything in the CLI because then it's really easily scriptable. The point of doing everything in a CLI is that it's you can run it in a script and then you don't need to mess with any UI at all. You know, it's just one command in your terminal and it just works, right? And not all the time. Yeah, well, I think at that point then you would need to rethink about how you're doing your CLI stuff, right? The only circumstance where I think this would be useful is if you have already started building like a TUI for your CLI tool. If you're starting to use a TUI, then it might be worth looking into something like this, like a wrapper, or maybe even just rewriting your entire application to have a graphical front end. Many arguments is, I don't know, that's just what a script is for, right? Like if you've ever done like any OpenStack web development, or web development, OpenStack is not web development, OpenStack is cluster management. Like those things take like millions of arguments, right? Because the entire point is that you're not supposed to use the, like, because there is also a web UI front end for OpenStack, but you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to do it all via scripts, because that's the beauty of it, right? Is that it's reproducible. If you do it via UI, it's no longer reproducible. Well, let me think. So this is get node data if nd node name is equal to, do I have constants? I don't have constants here. Let me grab the constants. Ooh. So constants, so if this is constants script else get node data strip edges, something like that. I think that's okay. So we look at this, that's still correct. We look at the original one. This should still also be correct. Okay, yeah, see, that looks way better. And also margin test was broken as well because of that. So I fixed it. I fixed a small part of the application. It's beautiful. So git commit only strip edges if XML node is not a script node. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't know. I think my opinions on CLI tools might also be kind of bad since I prefer using like git CLI. Even though like I've talked to a lot of people actually, and or at least a lot of people that I know, right? And a lot of them prefer using like a GUI for Git, which is crazy to me. So maybe I'm on like the wrong side of it. Maybe I have the unpopular opinion, but you know, at work I don't have the option of using a CL or a GUI because that costs money. So all we have is git bash. for git diffs, but you can do the git diff like this. Oh, I don't have any diffs, but you know. It's pretty much the same thing, right? So if you do like that, yeah, there's your diff. That's pretty easy to read. IMO, maybe. It's trash? I think it's pretty good. Look at that. GUI is clean? I don't know. I mean, that's what I use like GitHub for. I don't know. GUI is a crutch in any case. Either way, GUI is a crutch. Cause I don't know. I feel like if you, it's the same thing with like JetBrains tools, right? I'm trying to form an opinion on the fly while also still being mind flooded. It doesn't show all the files. It does show all the files. It does show the file. It just shows the diff, and then if you want to get a more specific diff, then you just need to specify. Then you just need to specify the file, right? Just like something that I'm surprised a lot of people don't know you can do in just Git is that you can do git log, and then you can search for the diff in the log like that. It's too much work. Is it? I don't know. I mean, I always have git bash open, so I don't need to open up a separate program. You know, and I know that this works across systems as well. Maybe like it's because of the special circumstances of my job where I have to work in a very limited environment where I've kind of Stockholm syndrome myself into liking the CLI. See how much better? Yeah, no, I know what it looks like. I know what it looks like. They're commercial tools. Yeah, you can use Git Kraken or whatever. I know that the JetBrains Git tooling is also pretty nice, or you can use the source control plugin for this as well if you want to. But I don't know. I just never found it useful, at least to justify it existing. Cause I don't know. I mean, this does everything I needed to, right? Yeah. VS Code is good too. No. No, it's a crutch. What happens when it's taken away? Yeah. So it's the same thing. If you're used to using JetBrains tooling, if you're really used to using PyCharm for doing Python, but now you have to use VS Code, what happens? Are you just going to be like useless for however long it takes you to figure out your workflow again? I don't think so. You know, like after having to write an entire Python module on a Rel 7 server, only using VI, not even Vim. You know, I think I got pretty good at I got pretty good at doing the command line stuff. Use Vim, so I don't like VS Code at all. That's unfortunate. I like VS Code, if only because it has all the plugins I need. What plugins do I use? I use Markdown, Rainbow Brackets, and the to-do highlight, my favorite plugins. That's pretty much it. Otherwise, I just use it as a text editor. But let's see. I think we can hook up a thing to this, and I guess we'll also need to have a visibility notifier attached to some of these things. So kinematic body to Z. Yeah. If I need it, I love it. Well, that's unfortunate. Because sometimes you won't have it anymore. I'm very used to this. You're given a tool, and then the next day it's gone from your computer because of corporates. Which does explain why some people just use Notepad. Which is still crazy to me, though. It's like, you're writing Python in Notepad? And I was like, yeah. We just lost VS Code one day. All right, well, glad I don't work for your company. So how would I do this? So visibility notifier. Is it visibility notifier 2D? Yeah, visibility notifier 2D. And then this will emit a signal. I need to figure out a better way to do 2D instead of doing the underscore under it, which is super gross. Actually, yeah, and then we can just do it like that. So this will just add it as a child to that thing. Oh, and then it also needs to have a rect attached to it as well. Then I've been Arduino macro pad. You wanted that with knobs and cool buttons. I actually own a macro pad. It's not Arduino. I think it's based off of a Teensy. Although I did like also buy it from Drop because I saw it. Let me see. No, what are my orders? Ignore the Dogecoin. That was back when Dogecoin was cool. Yeah, I have one of these that I mostly just use for reading manga. So this is left, this is right. And if you want to do like select, then you hold down C and then do V or stack. If you want to do actual regular control C, you need to do hold down stack overflow, then C, control overflow V to control paste. But if you just hit these buttons by themselves, then they're left and right. C doesn't do anything by itself. Although, you know what? Maybe I should reflash it so C is like down. Yeah. What is this key? What does this use? I don't remember what this uses. It's QMK. I don't remember what board it uses though. I thought it was a Teensy. Yeah. I can demonstrate that it works though. Although you can't see it in real life. But I am pressing it now. And you can grab all this, paste. One of those. So visibility and notifier. It won't have a rect associated with it unless I set it. When it's bounding rectangles. I guess we can just do it like this, right? And then here. Yeah. Or here we can do left paddle viz. It's a little bit cute. Not macro pad also, it's a micro pad. Yeah. I get it. Nice joke. User was banned for this pun. Alright, here we go. Here's what we're going to do. Let's do func. Let's see, we'll yield. Let's see. We'll look for all of these. So here's what we're doing. We're going to make it so we're able to track the score of the paddle. It's kind of a really bad way of doing it, but we're doing it. Also, I think this isn't super feasible either because it looks like the... Yeah, it looks like this actually got yeeted. Yeah. That's kind of tough, although that would be really cool to be able to do. is do like an inline script along with just like the text field associated with it. I guess I don't know how this would work. It would need to be parsed first, and I don't know how you would store states otherwise. Right? So this will display hello correctly, but doing it the other way will not because of how it gets parsed. So based on reader, and then parser takes whatever that is, and then we check to see. Yeah, that's tough. Oh, and actually, if you do it like that, it actually breaks it as well. I see, because it adds it to the text of that node data. So if you were to do hello like this, it would actually append hello to this script and then break. Yeah. Interesting. Because it's hard to tell. Well, actually, no, it wouldn't break, right? Because this script would contain, it would just be the ending node thing. What I can do is I can do a backwards search. Yeah, I can do a backwards search through the entire node stack to see where the hello should be stored. What would hello be? Hello is just the label. Right. So I've identified something that where this would break. So if you put like an inline script here, so an inline script like this just gets applied to its parent node. But then also, whatever is in the text field will be used as the text for whatever node it is. So actually, technically, you can add like random text to whatever you want. It just won't be parsed unless it's a control node. Or a script node, I guess. So let me see. What I would expect is I want this to work. What actually happens with the current logic is that hello gets applied to this closing script tag, which doesn't get parsed at all, which is fine. Could potentially lead to other problems. But what I want to happen is this hello gets applied to the upper label thing. I think that's still valid. Maybe. It might not be valid, but I'm going to allow it. So let's do var counter. So while so this is nodes. Well, so while counter, so while the absolute value of counter is less than node stack dot size. Wait, well, absolute value dot counter is because I'm going backwards, which is why I'm confused. So we're going to be minusing counter, by the way. So counter minus equals 1, which is why I'm confused, as said before. I always get super mind flooded, man. So var previous data is equal to node data node stack counter if previous data node name or no is open. If not, previous data is open, then we'll just -1. Yeah. So what the logic is well, we'll check the previous node. If it's not an open tag, we'll check the next one. If the previous one was an open, yeah, that's pretty much it. We'll just continue to backward search. There's nothing more complicated than that. I don't know why I'm trying to get fancy with it. Actually, there should be, if it is an open tag, then we'll start to check. Previous data, then previous data. I'm thinking about how to do this. I'm thinking, because I also need to check to see if it's closed properly or not. But that might not be correct. Node name. So if previous data node name is equal to node name, then we'll do a thing elif previous data is open, and then it needs to be if not is open, then node name. Let's go previous data node name. So we cache that and then just increment the counter. If it is open and previous data node name is equal to node name. Okay, so if it previous data, oh yeah, hold on. There's too many conditions. I'm getting confused again. I get easily confused. So if it's a closed tag, then we just store the name, increment the counter. If the tag is an open tag and this is a complete pair of tags. So for the late entry, I was hanging out with family. No problems. I was hanging out with family later or earlier on today. We went to a very bougie restaurant. Kind of freaked me out because every like entree was like $15. It was a brunch place. I was like, oh no. I hate eating at these kind of places unless someone else is paying for it, which fortunately someone was. I'm more of like just give me like a McGriddle or something. I don't even eat breakfast or lunch. Got a new keyboard. Oh, what is the keyboard that you got? Is it a magic keyboard? Is it a keyboard for plebeians? Or did you get a man's keyboard? Or maybe not a man's keyboard, maybe just like a regular lad. What's the what's the gender neutral pronoun I'm looking for? Did you get one of these? I use one of these. Just keeping this open on my other screen is like burning out my retinas though. It's very bright. So if previous data is an open tag, and then the node name equals the node name. That's tough. Because how I can see this breaking. Yeah, how I can see this breaking is... That's tough. I don't think there's a sensible way for me to parse this, unfortunately. It's an Atrix keyboard from GameStop. You still have GameStops that are in business? Is that not? Oh, that's not how you spell it at all. Atrix with one I. Oh, it's one of these. Okay, a gamer keyboard, if you will. It uses Otamu switches. I'm not familiar with Otamu, but I'm assuming that they're okay. Comparable to Cherry MX Browns, so it's a budget switch. Nothing wrong with that. It was in a mall. People still have malls? All the malls near me have closed. No longer profitable. Although, you know, I was surprised, like in other countries, like Malaysia is like, at least in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia has a ton of malls. Super surprised. I guess because it's such a dense country. At least in the cities. Yeah, they have a lot of just very tall malls. Well, actually, they're not that tall. It's only like 6 stories tall. Has an additional number pad? What? Yeah, you need numbers on your keyboard? Imagine needing a dedicated numpad. Why not just have to hold down the down layer button and then have this part of your keyboard turn into a numpad? Riddle me this. Or I think if I press function here, then this part of the keyboard turns into a numpad. Or if I hold down layer, then Q through backspace also turn into just regular number keys. Yeah, you know what? I think this is too complicated, and I also just have no idea if it will be valid. Yeah, so this one is like, if previous data is open, then we can do previous data text plus equals data text. So L if it's not open, okay, we can do node name is equal to empty. And node name empty. I think this will be okay. We'll only break here. There was another keyboard that was pink, but it was $10 more. Nah. As long as you're using mechanicals and you think it's pretty sick, that's all right. I don't see. Oh, there is a pick. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that numpad. Looking very fancy. The RGB lighting. Yeah, no, I don't. I almost never use a numpad, so that's why like I completely disregard numbers entirely. Because otherwise I can figure out the rest, right? Please work. Ooh, seems to be okay. Then we can try the everything. Yeah, okay. Look at that. I think it's okay. Look at that. So even though that, I think in regular XML, this is technically invalid. I think this is still okay. Yeah, look at that. It was smaller too. Yeah, well, I think once you start getting into mechanical keyboards, you actually start paying more for smaller keyboards. Like the smaller your keyboard gets, like kind of the more you pay for it, because because you're starting to talk more into like economies of scale, right? So there's more demand for bigger keyboards, so like they might actually be cheaper than whatever the heck I was showing off, the Plank, because these are like really niche types of keyboards, right? So they don't produce as much, therefore the per unit cost goes up. There's less demand. And I'm also using, I think I'm using Holy Pandas as the switches. So they're tactile, but they're also kind of hard to press, which is good for me since I kind of just like to mash the keyboard when I'm typing. Trying to install Endeavor OS, but the mirror downloads aren't working. Like the 2 different mirrors that's still stopped installing. Hard to say. I'm not familiar with Endeavor OS. What does it provide over other stuff? I really only pay attention to the big ones. All right, so then this one has, yeah, okay, so it's beautiful. So I try my best to figure this stuff out. But if you were to do something like this, I'm pretty sure that this would break. Yeah, okay, so it breaks like that. That's fine though. It's Arch-based? I'm guessing it's one of the Arch-based OSs that provides an installer, I suppose. Let's see. We need to wait for this to execute, and then we will be score placeholder. So the cool part about what I'm doing, by the way, which is why I keep looking at the XML file, is that, as you can see here, there is nothing in the local node structure that would indicate any of these exist, because I'm just parsing everything in this XML file instead. Yeah. Like Manjaro. Yeah, I'm familiar, well, I'm not familiar with Manjaro, but I know what Manjaro is. It's So let's see, control. And I need to do the stretch mode. What is it called? Set size flags horizontal. Size flags horizontal. So this needs to be set. Size flags horizontal. What are the size flags? Size, expand fill. So I think this should now display. That doesn't really look correct. Can't I set the modulate here as well? Modulate color N red. Maybe not. Did that not work? How did I do this for everything? Custom colors, yeah. Then there's the modulate as well. Or do controls not have modulates? I thought they did. No, they do. It just didn't get set or whatever, so we can look at it. Oh, there's no background color. That's why. Let's look at the Discord thingy. Please don't be porn. Okay. I regretted just pasting it in without looking at it. Yeah, that is my channel. Look at that. Nice nice background pic, I guess. I'm assuming that's a Toho. I'm supposed to send the image. That's okay. We still found it. We're smart people. We can figure things out based off of incomplete information. Let me see. So size flags horizontal. And size flags using KDE Plasma. Neat. I know that it's a pretty common one, and then KDE also has a lot of apps for other things as well. So like you can get like notifications on your phone. Like two-way notifications. So if you have an Android phone, there's like a KDE Plasma app. It's too much for me. too much for me. I'm more of a Windows XP kind of guy, so I use XFCE. It's very customizable, I suppose. The true customization is once you start like compiling your own desktop software. That's also how you know you're too far. You're in too deep. So why doesn't the modulate work? Could have thought that that would work. Something's wrong here. So in the style handler, this is one of the inline styles. So it doesn't get handled. Interesting. Did I not do this correctly? So these should all be... Huh. So the anchors are correct. For style in styles. What do we got? So what are those styles? Yeah. So match on key. Working with macros. If you want Windows 11 theme, yeah. I'm working with Neo massive speeds. Yeah, I still use VS Code. I find Vim to be pretty slow, to be honest. But that's because I just don't like the workflow. Like if you force me to do the workflow, I can do it, but I'd really rather not. So split value. What is the split value? 0.4. What is the key? Anchor left. A fellow Vimmer. Ugh. Vim is too much. I think this is kind of wrong. So key, anchor bottom, sure, margin top, sure. Size flags horizontal. So that's the size flag horizontal, sure. Integer, yeah. Okay. All right, so color N. So match key modulates. So the value is color whatever. Split value size is greater than 2. Or if it's equal to 2. Then your value is now red. Oh. Was there an error? Step me backwards. Ah. I guess that's okay. That's weird how it didn't really apply, but that's fair enough. Tabs. Vim is a curse. I have to. Gvim is just VS Code of Viminized? No, it's full Vim. What is Gvim? I'm not familiar. Gvim. GUI Vim, I suppose. Some command line execution. This is Vim but window. But like I already have Vim but Windows. Look, this is Vim as well. Right, and then you can do blah. Oh, blah. Search back, search front, etc., etc. Hold on, it's hard to use Vim with this keyboard, by the way. Since I'm missing a few keys. Yeah. What? Color N. Alright, send me again. Ooh, okay. Send me here. So this is split value. So left strip, that's okay. Color N. Oh, did I spelled this wrong, right? I did spell it wrong. It's lowercase. Although I should just do it like this. So you can have color N. That's okay. Beautiful. Look at that. Okay. Don't really know what's the story with the other modulates. They appear to still be broken, even though it should be setting them properly. So the size. Oh, you know what? It's probably like this size flag as well. So this doesn't know how big it should be. Oh no, size flag. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I just did it wrong. Maybe this is not what they're called. Since you don't execute Vim from terminal, use access to a buffer. That's the sad part, but it still works. Yeah. I guess if you just want to use Vim as like a text editor, a text thingy, I suppose it's okay. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. In order to get the score counter, or we'll call this like name score display, right? So we'll do tree idle frame. This is like absolutely not the coding environment you want to be in for GDScript, but it's still okay. Then we'll do find node. So var left paddle plus find node left paddle viz, and then we'll do the same for right paddle. Find node right paddle viz, and then we'll connect to something like on viz exit, something like that. Then this will have to take in a parameter side, I guess. So side will be a string. Sacrilege, I know, but don't worry about it. So we'll do left paddle visibility, and then this is right paddle visibility. I'm also in computer science my career. I'm still gonna do art though. Congratulations. I'm assuming that you're like still applying to universities or something. So have you decided where you're gonna go to school for like computer science, or are you just gonna teach yourself? You're typing too fast. You know, actually when I got my first mechanical keyboard, I was typing a lot slower, right? Because I'm used to like the chiclet style keys. So I would always hit them kind of shallowly. So I like reteach myself how to type like on a real mechanical switch, because it's the amount of travel that you have is a lot higher. Visibility notifier. We're looking for screen exited. Screen exited. Self on viz exit. So this is left. I'll do the same thing for right. I'm going to high school this year. Oh, okay. Suppose it is a bit early then for college admissions. Yeah, I wish you luck. Programming is like it's the blue collar work of white collar work. As in like I don't know, it's not like an educated skill. It's not a skill that you really need to be like highly educated to do. Like there's, unless you're doing like actual like hard computer science stuff, but for like the kind of stuff I do, you could totally be like completely self-taught. And where there was no membrane keyboards, it cost like half the PC. Yeah, no, I've never been there. I know my dad used to have a few of those like IBM Model M keyboards, the ones with like the actual buckling switches. I used to have a reproduction one of those. It was way too loud, so I sold it to my little brother. So match side. So if left paddle, wait, this is the paddle, it doesn't matter. Yeah, this doesn't matter. What the heck? What am I doing? This needs to have a visibility notifier on the ball, not the paddle. What am I doing? High school I'm going to as a STEM school. Ooh, STEM. Science, technology, engineering, math. I remember I thought I wanted to go to a STEM school. As it turns out, I'm very bad at math. I'm also very bad at taking tests. Oh. Ball viz. So I ended up just going to like a regular high school. Doing pretty badly in most, well, I shouldn't say doing pretty badly. I was in AP classes for the most part. Let's do label, or no, it'll just be text is equal to ball is gone. Sure. And we'll do one of these. Oh, geez. Attempt to call function connect and base null instance on a null instance. Keyboard broken, I was like, I just replace it. It's just a keyboard. It's my first PC. Big mistake. I don't feel you, although I guess my first computer... No, actually, my first computer used the membrane as well. My first computer was a Windows 2000 box, I think. I remember I used to have one of those old computer desks. I had to get a laptop so I can do a VM of Windows. A lot of college work or high school work can be compatible with Linux. High school probably will, though. Probably not, since you probably need to use like Microsoft Word, I would have to assume. I think that's the hardest part about using Linux, is that you need to use, at least for schoolwork, a lot of it assumes that you are... Yeah, a lot of it assumes that you are, have access to a Windows device. So there are ways around it. Like you can use LibreOffice. Hello, Oberon. Hello, hello. How are you? Yeah, so it's gonna be a bit hard. Yeah, I mean, I used a Chromebook for like the second half of college when I had all my programming classes. So it is possible, but you do need to plan around it. It's tough, for sure. Ah, please. Non-existent function, find node. Tree dot root. Let me see. Please. Attempt to call function connect in base null instance on a null instance. It's cool. It still gives me like the local variables, even though like it's still technically kind of wrong. Ball viz. So it wasn't able to find it. How about you tonight, bud? I'm doing all right. I was very tired before, but now that I've started like standing up, I'm feeling all right. Something that's kind of cool is, check this out. It's not very cool to like the majority of people, I suppose. But to me, it's cool. Error parsing expression, misplaced function. That's fair enough. Yeah, so check that out. So this is all done via just random XML generation. Look at that. It's basically just Pong, just to demonstrate that the GUI library that I'm writing can be used to just replace Godot's built-in stuff. And then also, potentially, you can package your entire game in this format and then just deploy it to the web like that. So it doesn't even require compilation. You would just need to have a runner somewhere else. Oh, geez. So jobs for Maya, I could get a better laptop and do a VM of Windows and do more web dev stuff, so maybe I can do jobs for some people. I would not recommend that, if only because, like, most people, when they want programmers, they'll just try to steal from you. I guess it's the same way for, like, art, right? But I think if you're doing things that are like programming, it's hard to tell the scope of what you want to do, right? It's even hard to describe like what you want like your website to look like. So if you're doing this stuff for like the lowest bidder, aka Fiverr, you're going to get like a lot of you're gonna have a lot of bad customers. They're like, oh, this is not what I wanted, please do it over. It's like, ah. Or this doesn't feel right, please do it over. No, that's why I've thought about doing Fiverr as well, or any of the other like, hey, like, I am a programmer who is open to work, and it's like, no, I don't actually want to work with people like that. Like, if you want to pay me like an expensive contract, then we can start talking. But you know, I'm not gonna make a game for you for $5. I'm sorry. Or $10 bucks. I know Fiverr isn't just $5. Price. Yeah. It's tough. It's tough. But I mean, that's like the art of the deal, right? Is like you always complain about the end product so that you get a discount. And like the reason why people do it is because it works. It's because they know that you're generally like the person that is offering the work is more desperate for work, which is unfortunate. So they get to argue from a position of power where I guess you are like just looking for work, right? How does find node work? Does find node not work how I think it works? Find. Individual node names, recursive. Matches mask and returns null if no matching node is found. Owned. True. Okay, cool. So then if we do this, it's not an own node. And then ball is gone. Yeah, there we go. He's done it. It's beautiful. Okay. I think that's pretty good. For like a Pong demo, it's not like a real demo. Because for a first demo, that's okay. It needs to have like actual walls on top, but I mean, we're able to set everything up as you would expect. Yeah, it just takes a little bit for the visibility notifier to say that the ball is gone, but that's okay. I don't really care. Let's see. First, Pong demo kinda works. So the text is connected to ball visibility. Change how style handler works. Or I guess add matches for style handler. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's not bad though. yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for tuning in. I have been live for longer than I thought I would be, but there is a GitHub if you want to find everything that I've been working on. This kind of weird UI library, not this one. This kind of weird UI library has been made for this application, which I also made, by the way. So if you want to, I don't know, if you're into VTuber stuff or whatever, there it is, OpenCPage GD. Where's GDML? I can totally find it. Here's what I've been working on. If you want to grab the latest build, it's there. You can just look at one of the examples for an example of how to use it. So there, it's pretty early still. I think there's a lot of things that are still kind of broken. I'm still trying to work through, but those are the two repos. I don't know. What else is there? This isn't stream avatars. This is my own thing. Oh, you can also find on my GitHub. Let's find someone to raid, I guess, since I guess there's just people hanging out. But yeah. What else do I do? I haven't had to do this in a little while. There's a Discord. If you haven't given the channel a follow already, I highly encourage you to do so. I stream Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern time, and on Wednesdays from 9 to 11 p.m. Had to think about that. Yeah, let's send you over to... Let's send you over to Nova, I guess. Why not? Get ready to get sent. They're doing Godot game dev. Yeah, and they're making a claw machine. But yeah, get sent, I suppose. And yeah, goodbye.